Have you ever wondered why goalkeepers have the weight of their entire team on their shoulders for being the last line of defense? If you really think about it, one mistake and it feels like the game is all on them. But what if I told you the secret to excelling as a goalkeeper isn't the perfection of being the last line of defense? Let's dive in. Let's see exactly what we're talking about. Hey, it's Markens. Welcome back. I am the guy behind the Mass Young Gunners here in central Massachusetts. Today we're going to dive into the world of goalkeeping. We'll discuss essential techniques on tactical awareness, the mental fortitude that makes a goalkeeper great. So whether you're, a budding keeper or seasoned professional keeper, a young keeper trying to excel into a higher and better position, this may be the episode that really help you change everything about your game. Now, the role of a goalkeeper is obviously the last line of defense. Okay, you're here to prevent goals. For going into the net, crossing that line with quick reflexes and decisive actions, which are pretty quick, right? You have to decide pretty quickly. The shot stopping ability, cat-like reflexes, making saves, punching out, blocking, and of course, being able to make a quick decision when you win the ball, taking advantage accurately, taking goal kicks or good throw outs, to launch the attack. Essentially, all those things are true. However, one of the most vital and pivotal and fundamental pieces of a goalkeeper skill is their ability to verbally communicate, direct defenders, and organize their backline to prevent a lot of silly things from happening. Or in other words, you can put a lot more emphasis on organizing, because you've seen the whole field, you're way in the back, on organization, prevention. Therefore, you don't have to be the emergency guy or girl over and over again. That's the key. It's probably fundamental skill that's overlooked a lot, and therefore we definitely want to be the general, the verbal general in the back that's directing traffic, because after all, you can see things before they develop. Now, if you're having trouble with that, then you definitely want to be that vocal leader as a keeper and practice and work on your vocal skills. Okay, informing, not yelling for the sake of yelling, but informing players, organizing. Hey, drop left, drop right, left shoulder, right shoulder, and so forth. Everything else that comes with being informative to your teammates so that they're organized and in great defensive positions to prevent things from happening or the floodgates of attacks from opening. Okay. Now, the next phase of this would be the technical skills. Now, obviously, you want to have the proper hands, positions, and grips to be able to catch the ball properly. The footwork's super important with the new game, because the advanced game today, that goalie, that keeper in the back is a sweeper keeper. It means that you're the sweeper. They can play that ball to your feet and you're distributing that ball. You're passing it. You're getting the attack launched and you are actually spreading the field. That's the new game. So goalkeepers are no longer the ones who are just thrown in goal and don't have the foot skills. That's why in training, goalkeepers should do as much of the foot and the technical ability as the other players. They really do need to do that. So the next part of this is the footwork, the agility, movements, the quick reaction, and then of course the ability to pass the ball with some distance in mind. In other words, being able to drive that ball 30-40 yards at someone's chest or something like that. Okay, Diving's another great one. Being a cat-like reflex with the ability to go down and get right back up again and bounce right back up is key. And so a lot of things such as forward rolls, backward rolls, side dives and all those things. I don't want to get too much into that, but I do want to touch upon some of the basic fundamental skills that we definitely want to sharpen. And the next phase is obviously tactical. Everyone needs to be, right? Being able to anticipate opponents' moves, attacks, positions accordingly, identifying where your team is being exploited first. I mean, a goalkeeper who is really skilled obviously sees and understands that, for instance, your left wing is being exploited, or your left back, whatever, or the center of the park is not reinforced, and they're getting through pretty easily. You know that. And if you don't, you definitely should learn to read the game from that perspective. Now, that's tactical awareness. Defensive organization, coordinate the defenders to create strong defensive line. So what does that really mean? Well, don't have them all stand in one straight line across the pitch. Have them stagger, right? 4, 5, 7 yards behind one another. So if that ball goes through one, the other one will be able to catch it. Especially like, say for example, the opposing team is taking a goal kick or something like that. All right, well, don't have, hey, drop 6, 7 yards behind. Help your coaches out, commanding your box when crosses are coming in. That's a huge one. One-to-one situations where the attacking players come in. Know when to come off your line. Close down that distance. Make yourself big. Make sure that you're making the goal as small as possible, as quickly as possible. I've seen one of my goalies just have a breakaway and they stood on their lines, and then the attacking player shot the ball right at them, and they saved it, and they think it's success. It's so wrong. So wrong. I was like, man, I wish he didn't end up luckily making a save, because it's so wrong. As long as your last defenders beat, you're coming out. You're closing in, you're making the balls, you gotta make that goal smaller and cut angles off, right? And of course, the mental part of the game, mental fortitude, stay mentally sharp. You understand that you want to perform in those high stakes scenarios where you're making critical saves and decisions, coming out to get a ball, coming off your line quickly when that time is right. As soon as your last defender is beaten, you're coming out, you're closing down the distance, you're making it. All those things are super important. And then being resilient, right? You want to be resilient. You make a mistake, of course, because your last line of defense, it seems like you make the biggest mistakes. That's not true. Every player is making mistakes. The higher up the pitch, the farther up the pitch you are away from your goal, the least crucial the mistakes seem to be, but they're all the same, because they can all compile or compound to one another, okay? But the point I'm making here is bounce right back. Understand that. You're making mistakes just like everyone else. Yours seem to be a little bit more costly, but it's not true, It's not always true. It's just as costly as everyone else, And then training tips, like, train your hand skills, your foot skills, your diving skills on a consistent basis, so you're always sharp. The agility part of it is super important. Being light on your feet, and mentally having the mass stimulations playing in your head. Train like it's a game. Every time you get an opportunity, train like it's your game. All right, and then video analysis is key. Analyze your game footage so you can identify areas where you should be improving upon. Like, so if you don't think that you come out when crosses are made, for example, if you think you're coming out to really command that box, screaming keeper, and then coming out, jumping, getting that ball, making sure everybody hears you coming. And when you do come with a lot of authority, work on that. It's just an example. So those things are super important, and the more you work on them, the more natural they emerge when you play, and therefore the better you're going to be. Right? So goalkeeping, it's a key role on a soccer pitch. Mastering those technical skills and developing every area can definitely separate you from the rest. Now, as you know, it is very difficult to find a qualified keeper to put in between those pipes. So you working on these things, sharpening and growing and developing, will certainly separate you from the rest, and therefore make your value to any team that much more valid. Okay? So if you find a lot of this information that we talked about super helpful, listen, don't worry, we'll have more of that stuff for you. Subscribe to the Master Young Gunners for more insight on mastering your game. Remember, goalkeeper is more than just a shot stopper, okay? It's about being a complete package. And the prevention of a lot of, the attacks or the emergency, preventing it, a lot of the emergency situations are just as much a line of defense as everyone else. So therefore, it's another way to say keep working on your vocal skills and your ability to read the game before it happens. Until next time, keep kicking it around, and we'll see you in the next one.